Hey there, lovely. Welcome to Aries Place Counseling, where you are truly seen and valued. In honor of October being Depression Awareness Month, please join me for today's video or audio discussion as I explore depression through the lens of David's life. David's life offers a profound lens through which to explore depression, not just as a clinical condition, but as a deeply spiritual and emotional journey. His story is marked by triumphs and tragedies, and his psalms give voice to the raw, unfiltered experience of sorrow, guilt, and longing. Now let's look at emotional depth in David's psalms. David's writings often reflect symptoms we would associate with depression today. For instance, look at Psalm 13. It says, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever?" Here we hear a cry of abandonment and despair from David. Another psalm is Psalm 6, where he says, "I flood my bed with weeping. My eyes grow weak with sorrow." Here speaks of physical exhaustion from emotional pain. Yet another psalm, Psalm 38. "I am bowed down and brought very low. All day long I go about mourning." This is a sense of heaviness and isolation. Now, these aren't fleeting emotions. They represent prolonged periods of anguish, often tied to personal failures, loss, and spiritual wrestling. Let's look at the life events that shaped David's struggles. His depression wasn't abstract. It was shaped by real trauma. For example, loss of loved ones, his grief over Jonathan, his friend, his infant son, and Absalom. These were overwhelming loss, overwhelming pain. Or do we talk about his moral failure, his guilt over the Bathsheba incident that led to deep internal conflict? Read that in Psalm 51. Or do we talk about isolation and persecution, where he was being haunted by Saul and betrayed by his own son? These created intense emotional strain on David. So now let's look at how David coped through creativity and faith. David never suppressed his pain. He transformed his pain through music and poetry. His psalms became spiritual expressions of lament and hope. Through prayer and worship, David continually turned to God even when he felt abandoned. Through emotional honesty, he modeled vulnerability, challenging the cultural norms of masculinity. When you read through the pages of Psalms, David bore his emotion to God. He was not afraid to express how he felt. Now let's look at the spiritual implications of the life of David. David's story reminds us that depression doesn't mean spiritual failure. Can I say it again? Depression doesn't mean spiritual failure. It can coexist with deep faith. Yes. David's story reminds us again that emotional suffering can be a path to deeper intimacy with God. And his story yet again reminds us that honest lament is a valid form of worship. So, if I can leave you with anything today, do not fear your own emotion. Sit at the feet of Jesus and pour your heart out to him, and let him use those emotions, those deep wounds, to lift you so that you can bring life to others, so that you can be a blessing to others, just like we see that David's life is bringing for us all today. Thank you for listening. God bless you and be well.